Mr. Kola Ashiru Balogun is the Chief Executive Officer of Terra Developers. Well, let's get his perspective to all of these issues. Good to have you on the program. Good afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
All right then. Well, that figure already is a good place to start from. 28 million. Before now, I used to hear it was 20 million. At the time, it was 18 million. So I think as population continues to increase, it also continues to increase. Now, what do you think about this deficit? And if I were to draw down to Lagos, how can it be addressed one way or the other?
Well, thanks for having me again on this show, Tolu. Look, it's a conundrum. You have different forces moving against the industry. So first of all, like you mentioned, urbanization. It's growing at a significant amount. A lot of people are moving into the cities. Think about it from the 80s to now. Look at the number of people that have moved into Lagos, and you can see that has also happened towards the elections that just went past. Urbanization is a big factor. When you look at cities like Lagos, Lagos represents less than 1% of the landmass of Nigeria, right? But Lagos takes about maybe 20 to 30% of the GDP of the country. So you can imagine the number of demand, how that is affecting the demand of housing in Lagos. At the last time we checked, the deficit in Lagos alone is about 3.2 million homes. Now, 3.2 million homes, I think at the last point that we checked, maybe the government was supplying about 7,000 to 10,000 homes a year, if it's that much. But that's the target. So if the government is targeting about 10,000 homes and you have a deficit of about 3 million homes, we've not started. So we've not even touched it at all.
So what's the role of real estate developers in all of this? Because we see them, like we're speaking behind cameras, almost everywhere now. What is their role in addressing this crisis? 3.2 million is worrisome.
See, the good thing and what I really love about Nigeria and the Nigerian enterprises, we have that spirit of the private enterprise we can do. And the government has created that environment that businesses should be able to prosper. There's a huge opportunity in this sector whereby there's this deficit. Somebody has to fill this gap. You have the larger players. They couldn't fill the gap. You have the government. The government by itself cannot fill this gap. That's why you're seeing the industry is becoming very fragmented. You're seeing a lot of developers springing up all over the industry. So it's something that is as a result of the huge demand in the industry. So that's what we're seeing.
So for someone like you are into this business, Terra Developers, what are you doing to solve this problem practically?
Well, what we try to do, so from our business point of view, we looked at it in two ways. We want to solve the affordable housing sector. On part of the affordable housing issues.
Someone who says relative. Go
it
ahead.
is always very relative, right? So we offer homes at lower rates, depending on the location and things. So you're able to provide those homes. You're able to do that on scale at more affordable prices, depending on where the location of the market. So in Lagos, we are looking at more affordable prices at about 20 million and less. This is further down down the Lekki axis. In Abuja, we're able to do the same thing too, further down outside the axis. But you see, what you continue to find is that in as much as we want to offer much more lower prices, because obviously income hasn't gone up the way prices have gone up over the past few years, right? But it's really tough. It's really tough, but you have to continue to, use your experience. You have to continue to understand what the market really wants. The population has changed significantly. The way our parents used to live is different from the way our children will live. So as developers nowadays, what we're constantly doing in Terra is how do we create houses for the next generation?
I want us to stay on that for some time. Are we talking mortgage here? Are we talking, payments? When you say 20 million, a regular Nigerian will say 20 million. How long am I going to save to get 20 million? So, because many say that's why we have that challenge in this part of the world. We have to buy everything. You have to save monies to buy your car. You have to save monies to buy your house, which is not so easy. But are we talking about how easy is it? How flexible can this be?
So for us, what we do is we offer payment plans. Obviously, you can pay over 24 months to 30 months. That's available. But, look, the biggest issue is cost of financing. Mortgage banks are giving mortgages at above 24, 25%, depending on your credit, depending on your income level. So that, if you're taking a mortgage at 25%, in about 5 years, you've paid almost 100% of the mortgage. So that really doesn't work. You see, the biggest concern that I also, what we see is that it's not everybody that should buy a house immediately. What we all need is comfortable housing. Can be rental, and that's what sometimes the government can do to help support that rental market, whereby people are in decent housing. You don't have to drive 3 hours to get into your office. I want to be able to drive within an hour to get into my office.
But developers should also ensure that their projects are environmentally and, of course, sustainable and contribute to the green Lagos and all of that. It's supposed to be a smart city in a very short while. So how well are we moving towards achieving that or supporting that goal?
So within Terra, for example, so we chose to align with the IFC EDGE certifications, whereby they specify the sustainable standards that we must adhere to, right? So we reduced the size of the toilet tanks in our apartments. So you don't need 10 gallons of water to flush a toilet. Reduce the amount. And it's unfortunate that it's until we start understanding the cost implications to these things, that's when we start reducing the need. I don't necessarily need a 30 kVA generator in my house, right? I can get away with 10, 15 kVA, right? But when I start seeing the cost of diesel go up, right? And the reason the cost of diesel is going up is, yes, there are other factors around, but that cost is eating me. I can now say, okay, I can reduce my consumption to 10, 15. But what we're doing specifically, we're putting solar, we're making all our apartments solar ready. So even if you choose to connect to our network or you choose to connect to the solar, it reduces that overall cost for you as a homeowner. And, so those are things that we're doing as Terra. But the key thing is we need to identify these standards, like I mentioned, the IFC EDGE, and adhere to them as developers.
We talked about competition in the sector earlier too, and I was saying, are you sure people are not compromising? Are you sure people are not going out of their ways? Are we maintaining standards? Because standard is very important when we talk about structures, putting up structures. What is happening around that despite the competition?
I can't say we are all maintaining standards.
So you speak for yourself.
I can speak for myself in terms of what we're doing. We have our processes. We have our quality processes. Okay. We're not engineers. We hired the top-class engineers to double-check every level of construction that we start on, right? So we do that. And the good thing about what I've seen about states like Lagos, for example, they've introduced, you have all the safety commissions, yes. You have all the building control. They're very active. They're very agile in terms of what they're doing.
True.
You have other regulatory agencies like the LASERA and things that they're monitoring what's going on. They're establishing those standards for us. It's been, when you think about it, it's been a very active 10 years in the industry. It was controlled by not more than 10 companies before. And now it's grown to thousands of companies, right? So it's become very fragmented.
Jobs have been created.
Jobs are, it's a very good opportunity for everybody, but we need to put things together, and we need the help of the government to give us that direction before people tarnish the image of the industry.
Well, I'd say it's a good way to wrap up this conversation talking about the housing sector. Mr. Kola Ashiru, CEO, Terra Developers Limited, right? Thank you so much for your time on the show. We hope that we'll try as much as possible to see how we can gradually start to bridge this gap. Thank you so much. I will keep a tab on you anytime we have issues around this sector. We would like to have your comments around it.
I'd love to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.